be able to show you a true reflection of the wear and tear and not just tell you, oh, my bag's wonderful and perfect. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's video, well, this video has had quite a few requests from different people, and it is a 1-year update on the wear and tear of both the Chanel mini reissue in the metallic leather and the Chanel mini in the tweed from the, was this 20S collection? I think it's the black and white houndstooth tweed that came out just over a year ago. So I've had this bag for over a year, and I got this bag. This is the 1920 Matriarch collection. I got this, I think, at the start of July last year, so I've had this bag just over a year now as well, and I've had quite a few messages from a few of you, actually quite a few of you, for an update video on these bags, on the wear and tear and how the metallic leather has worn and how the tweed has worn. And I get it, because these bags are so expensive. If you're looking to buy any of these bags and maybe go outside their traditional leather, because we all know and have seen probably many videos about the caviar leather, which is more durable, which is a very good everyday bag, which can take a bit more wear and tear. The lambskin leather, which is that little bit softer, maybe more luxurious, but you are going to risk slightly more wear on the lambskin. But if you're moving outside the leathers, and I know there's goat skin and calf skin, but if you're moving outside the leathers and looking towards going for either metallic or for tweed, I can see that people would want to have some sort of insight and update on how they wear before you spend this amount of money on them. So we'll do that today. I have had both of these bags now for over a year, and we're going to start with the metallic mini reissue. And whenever the metallic came out, and I remember having this conversation with Lucinda from Yellow Chic Road, because we both loved this bag, and the big concern that was being discussed at the time and that we were discussing and were concerned about is, would the metallic leather crack, and would it crack, and then if it cracked, would it flake? So if you can imagine the colour dye on top of the leather, once, for example, if there was to start cracking within the leather, if the colour would then flake off it. And we've all seen it on different metallic things where it begins to crack and it flakes off, and it doesn't look too great. And certainly if you're going to spend the amount of money that one of these bags are, it would be a concern. And I suppose I've started with this one because it's the easiest one to do the update on the wear and tear. As I say, I've had this bag for a year, over a year. I have used this bag, although I will say that we were in lockdown for a good part of that year. So this bag hasn't probably got the same amount of use as it would have had in a normal year if we hadn't had any lockdowns to deal with. And I'm also going to set it against the backdrop of, I obviously have other bags. So it's not like this bag has been used every day. It has been used, and it has been used, you know, it's not been used once, it's been used, but it's not an everyday bag. It's not a bag that's getting use every day. So this is not an update on how this bag is wearing as an everyday bag. I'm going to be honest with you, if I was buying a Chanel bag and you're looking for an everyday bag, this is probably not the sort of bag that I would buy to be using every day, because it just does have the potential to be less hard wearing than the likes of a caviar or even a lambskin bag. Mine, I am happy to say, is in perfect condition. I have looked around both of these bags for this video and probably looked at them closer than I would ever normally look at my bags, because as I've said in other videos, I don't baby my bags. I am a great believer that when I spend this amount of money on these bags, I use them, and I do use them, and I should probably be at times a bit more careful than I am. So I definitely don't baby them. I'm not kicking them about the football field, but I do use them, and I have looked over this morning, and the corners, I can see, I know the light is going to hit them because it's metallic, but I can see absolutely no wear on any of the corners of this bag, which was probably where you would expect it to go first. If you look at the creasing, which is another place you would expect if it was going to crack, it would crack in the creasing. There's absolutely nothing. There's no cracking, there's no flaking. There's no signs of wear at all. Now you can see the creases from me using the bag, and you can see the creases on the inside across here from me using the bag, but they haven't cracked or flaked. If I can try and take it away from the light, there's no cracking or flaking on the inside. Again, you can see the creases on the back, although I don't think it's too significant, but you can see the crease from opening the bag. Even if I leave it sitting, you know, there without being open, you can see where when I use the bag, it creases. That's going to happen. That's going to happen in any bag. It happens in leather bags. But even where those creases are, there's no cracking, no flaking at all. There's nothing in the stitching. I'm just looking again, but the stitching's all still perfect. There's no... I'm going to go as far as to say as I can't actually find any real signs of wear on this bag. There are no signs of wear on the lock, and that's because I've just taken the sticker off before we filmed this. So I sometimes will leave the stickers on the bags. I know you shouldn't leave them on for a very long time because it can oxidize and the glue can actually react with the metal and it can ruin your hardware. But I would be sometimes guilty of not taking them off right away. So the hardware in this is shiny hardware, and that's another reason why I kept the sticker on this, because in the shiny hardware, once it gets scratches, which inevitably it will get from everyday use, the scratches on the shiny hardware, I think, show up that little bit more than they do on some of the other hardwares. So I did keep the stickers on them. But the grommets where the stickers are off and obviously gets use just from the chain going in and out of it. And I quite often, I have used this bag carrying it like this. Under my arm, I have used it, but also just, you know, carrying it like that. And then I will no doubt, inevitably, throw the chain down it and turn it into crossbody at some point. So the grommets would get quite a bit of use because I'm changing the way the chain goes quite a lot, and I don't even see any scratching or any significant wear on those from them being used. So the wear and tear on this one has been great. It's been really, really good. I checked it before I turned the camera on, but I'm just looking again and I actually see nothing to report. And if I see anything, you have my word, I'll tell you. I'm not here to tell you everything's wonderful in the garden when it's not. But I genuinely don't see anything on this bag at all. So I'm happy to say that the wear and tear and use on this bag has been fabulous. It's obviously for metallic very well made, because metallic is one of those fabrics and leathers that you would expect to see some cracking and would expect to see some flaking quicker than you would on other leathers. So it's obviously a very good version by Chanel of a metallic. And the second bag that you guys were interested in a wear and tear update is this Tweed. Now, okay, there is wear and tear on this Tweed that I will be able to show you. I was aware before I started to look at this for this film or this video to be able to show you a true reflection of the wear and tear and not just tell you, oh, my bag's wonderful and perfect. I want to show you the actual wear and tear. I was aware of one thing on this that you could see. So from me using it, and whenever I lift it to use it, I was aware of one. There are more, which I will be able to show you, but I only became aware of them by examining the bag to show them to you guys in this update of wear and tear. And I use this bag, this is a bag for Tweed and in lockdown that I've probably used quite a bit. And it's not that when you just lift the bag to use, although I don't examine it every time, but just for general everyday use, the vast majority of what I'm about to show you I didn't know, I couldn't see, so it doesn't stand out. Apart from one of them I could see. And I'm just giving you that background before I show you what there is. And it's nothing horrendous or it's nothing major, but there is noticeable wear and tear that you can see on this from it having been used. This bag I have had probably slightly longer than the mini reissue, and this bag I have probably used more than the mini reissue. For a Tweed bag, I have used this a lot. as I say, I use my bags. I don't baby them. I don't buy them to sit in the shelf. I've used this bag going shopping. So it's not that I have kept this bag for good in any way. It's not that I have only used this bag going out or on certain occasions. I've used this bag a lot. And when that comes to using it, there is the inevitability of lifting it with your wallet and your keys and carrying things, and there's going to be some wear on this that you can see, because tweed is obviously tweed, it's fabric. You can see all the different fabrics going through the stitching, and catching any of these has consequences and it has potential to damage the bag. I also think when you look at some of it, this is my, I know it's the only rings I have on today, but this is my wedding set, and you can see that my ring is full diamond at the top. You can see that there are claws and settings on my engagement ring, and my wedding ring is diamond. And the reason I point that out is it catches things. The reality is it catches. My husband came in a bit of a mood the other night and said, your rings have scratched the paint on the car under, you know, in the handle, when you go in under the handle and you're opening it, and my ring has scratched the paint. And he's like, your rings have scratched the paint. Sorry, oops. But they catch on things. They will catch on your clothes, they will catch on delicate fabrics, and they have caught on this bag, and that's just the reality of it. So the piece of wear that I was aware of, if I give you a quick look on the bag, because it's not that these will stand out and it's not that they're significant, but when you really forensically look around the bag and go through it for wear and tear, you are going to see some things. But when you look at the bag just generally as it would look when I lift it up to use it, you're probably not going to see any of the wear and tear. And one of the good things about this bag is because it is the houndstooth tweed and you have the mix of fabrics, so you have the black going into the white, you have different types of threads, you have the ribbon, you have a thicker wool type thread, you have a thinner thread as it goes through it. When there is then a little bit of wear or tear, or a thread gets pulled or something gets touched on it, you don't really see it because it's not a clean fabric. It's against, if this was against a clear fabric or a plain fabric, you would see something standing out. Because it's against this busyness, you don't really see it. The one that I was aware of is if you look at the Mona Lisa pocket here, you will see, if I can just assist with my nail, you will see this little bit of cocoa ribbon. How's the best to shoot there? Has come out, and I'm assuming this little bit of cocoa ribbon was in, whenever I first got it, was probably in the Mona Lisa pocket in like that, and it has now came out. Now I could trim that. I know I sent the on classic flap away to get altered, but whew. If I had a very sharp pair of scissors, I could trim that off and just make it a bit shorter. But to be honest with you, it doesn't bother me. I don't really notice it when I pick it up. It's just part of the story and the wear and the tear of the bag. I would be concerned that if I were to trim it, that it might fray. And if it were short and frayed, it might fray up into the, because this ribbon continues back up into here, that it might fray further up through the bag and might actually cause more wear. So I haven't touched it and I don't intend to touch it. Doesn't bother me, that little bit coming out. That's the one I had actually noticed, but still I use this bag without it even really causing a thought to me. Now, when I then was examining the bag to show you guys, if you can see here, can you see that little piece of, sorry you're getting an up close of my face, but it's to allow me to concentrate to show you what I'm saying. You can see this little bit of black thread coming out. And that has also came out at the bottom of the Mona Lisa pocket at the back. And that is just, there's another little bit. Oh, yep, there's another little bit here. See? And that's just coming down here in the corner of the Mona Lisa pile. As I say, because it's so busy, it's even hard to show you where that sits because there's so much going on, but it's just coming, and I don't want to pull it to make it worse, but it's just coming there. You can see it. You can see it there against my finger. So that is just sitting out at the corner there as well. Again, they could be trimmed, but they don't bother me. I don't notice them when I pick it up, and I would be very concerned that I would cause, if I start snipping, that I could cause it to fray more, or I could cause it to move up. And one of the realities, if you're going to buy a tweed bag, you need to know it's a fabric bag, and it's a bag where different fabrics are pulled together to create the tweed, and it has the potential to do this. If you're not comfortable with that, or you think that's something you would worry about, or something would make you stop enjoying this bag, I wouldn't buy a tweed bag. Now, I've used this a lot. Some people will buy this tweed bag probably and use it a lot less than me, but I love the tweed, so I've just worn it. But just bear that in mind if you're looking at tweed. Now, there's one more, although this one's even harder to see. See here? There, you can see it just sticking up my nose. There is a little bit of almost like a black thread, and that is at the top here of the Mona Lisa. You see it maybe there against my nail. That's at the top here, and that one sits out as well. There is maybe some, and I'm trying to be thorough at this, this would be probably being very picky, but you can maybe see here, it's maybe the start of a very slight, I don't even want to say pilling because it's not as much as pilling, but it's maybe the start of a very slight area of wear there. Now, when I looked at this, there were, okay. This is going to be very hard to show you. Here, in this area, there is just some threads. Now, they're not out. And as I say, I'd never noticed this, and you'd have to be really examining the bag. But they're maybe just not as tight into the tweed as they maybe originally were, and they're here, but that's again being very, very picky. It's even hard to see them whenever you're examining it. On the bottom of the bag, the base of the bag, because it doesn't have feet, and I'm just going to point out the base because obviously when the bag is sat down, that's what it sits on, and it sits in my shelves. But when I'm out, you know, I set it on the counter, I set it if I'm out for dinner, and there's nothing. There's no pulls or frays on the bottom that I can see, and I have tried to really take a close look to see if there's anything to show you. There's nothing on the corners that I can see at all. No areas of wear that I can see sticking out on the corners. Where seems to have been maybe the most vulnerable and attracted the most is where the Mona Lisa pocket is at the back, and that's what I've already shown you. On the front, and I've just ran my fingers across it again to make sure I'm not missing anything. There's nothing really to report. The only, if we're being very, very thorough, is if you look at this little tiny piece of the ribbon here, you can see it moving under my finger. It's maybe slightly less tight into the tweed and into the weave of the tweed than the rest of the ribbon. And there is maybe, if you see here, hard to even get you to see this, you can see a little bit of the white, and it's not even really it's just almost like it's, you can see it under my nail there maybe, that it's just a little bit loose and a little bit fluffy. But again, these are being, because I'm making a video that you want to see the wear and tear. I have not noticed 99% of these, and they're very, in my view, minor. To me, they don't take away from the bag at all. They don't bother me in the slightest. I'm not wanting to Chanel to tell them that I think the bag, oh, here's a little thread I can show you, found something else. I'm not wanting to Chanel to say that I think the bag is faulty or that there's a problem with it. I think it is just general wear and tear from tweed. But that is me, and I'm quite relaxed about wear and tear because I use my bags so much, and I'm quite relaxed about these things. I don't, when I get my bags, yes, I examine them, but there's probably things that other people may pick up that I would miss. So these don't affect me or put me off it at all if anybody is looking for tweed, but I think you would just have to have that mindset if you are buying it. You can see one here. Oh, how do I show you this? There is a thread. You can maybe see it there. And then my nail will move up. There's a thread there. But again, like it's hard to find, it's hard to see, and we're being quite thorough there. The inside, there's no tweed obviously in, it's completely perfect as one would imagine it would be. It has obviously the creases across here from me using it, but that's just normal wear and tear. So that is an update on the year wear and tear of this tweed, which I think was probably more informative than the metallic, because the metallic thankfully is still, as far as I can see, in absolute perfect condition. I hope that this was informative. I hope for the people that have asked me questions about this tweed that this has answered what you were looking for and has given you a bit more insight if you're considering buying a tweed bag. Thank you so much for watching me. Thank you for being here. Please take care, and I will see you again in the next one.